Heather and Cody, thank you so much for being here and doing this story. This is a story about you, Cody, taking the mRNA COVID shot. Which COVID shot did you take?
The Pfizer.
Did you take just one?
I had one complete set of the 2 doses.
So what made you think it was a good idea to take the COVID shot? What made you do it?
Largely, I was very concerned for my mother's health. I had a family member who had a doctorate and has, at this point, long since kind of abandoned me in this. Tell me that my mother was likely to die because she has autoimmune problems if I were to bring COVID back to the home. So I was concerned largely for her safety. I was working in such a time and was concerned about bringing COVID home before we knew how severe it could possibly be.
Mm-hmm. Heather, you're his mum. Describe Cody before he took any Pfizer vaccines.
So backing up a little, in the early, when the pandemic was announced, Cody was working as a medical administrative assistant. He was working in a program that was an internship to help him to get into a better college. And so he was enjoying that job. And then when they didn't know what was going to happen with the clinics, the medical clinics, it was a clinic for the homeless. So
homeless and needy.
And needy people. So he had to switch jobs because they closed the clinic down, and it was, a disappointment. But our family was going to move to Arizona from Florida, and we started prepping to do that, including we had bought a small home, inexpensive home, in hopes of building on 2 properties that we bought, one for my husband and I and one for my sons to live right on the same street with us. And my husband was going to work on the base in Arizona. Cody was going to go to college in Arizona. So we were making a transition. And fast forward to 2021, we had put our house up on the market and we're preparing to go. And Cody, as he says, he was told by a doctor, and also, he had influence from his peer group. They were getting their shots so that they could go to school, college, but he was told by a doctor and also by our government and peers that in our case, it wasn't that grandma would die if he brought home COVID. It was that mom would die, have muscle disease, autoimmune muscle disease. And honestly, I fared through the pandemic fine. I'm fine, but most grandparents and parents did just fine through the pandemic. So, but their children, mostly the young people, are the ones that we know of that suffered and perished. And I have friends that lost children, and Cody is in a fight for his life. He may look okay from the outside, but he has suffered multiple strokes. His brain has been ravaged by injuries from his blood clotting disorder. And
okay, let's take it back a bit to the first Pfizer shot that you took. Where did you go and take that?
At it's called Walgreens.
And when you went in there to take your first Pfizer shot, did they give you any idea of some of the side effects that could occur from this?
Not at all.
Did they test your medical history to see if you were suitable for the shot?
No.
Okay. How did you feel after the first Pfizer shot?
I felt fine.
Okay. So at a certain amount of time afterwards, you went back for your second one.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened after that?
Well, things started slowly going downhill. I had a lot of pain not very long after, but I was mistaken for pain because we were trying to move at the time. We were packing boxes and such, and I was still very active at the time, and I thought the pain that I had in my chest was from pulling muscle, moving heavy boxes. And so what was that, Mother, like within what time period? I can't remember very well.
So it was about maybe 2 weeks after his shot that he had some pretty significant pain in the right leg, starting in the right leg, and then in the left lung.
Right leg in my lung, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to?
And how old were you at this time? 21.
Yes, I was 21 at the time, and I ended up being hospitalized in October because I ended up having extreme pain one night that turned to me coughing blood, in the day, and obviously by the point I was coughing blood, I knew I had to go to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital there in St. Augustine, they at first seemed really reluctant. They didn't seem to have a lot of belief in me until the what's it called, the technician that did the scans told the ER doctor that I was in far too much pain to lie down and take my scans, and they needed to take it more seriously and give me some pain meds so I could get my scans. So the doctor started looking into it very hard after that, and they ended up running the correct tests and found out that I had a very large pulmonary embolism and many small emboli in the other lung. Large one on the left and many small ones on the right, to clarify.
And it says here in our notes that you were told you only had 3 days to live.
Yes, when I was talking to the doctor, he told me that I would likely only have about 3 days to live if I can't manage to do anything. And he said that the outcome is usually not very good for pulmonary embolism of that size.
Yet here you are.
Yes, ma'am.
How have you got from being told you had 3 days to live, you've had strokes, you have speech issues, how have you gone from that to, I know you're in a lot of pain, I know by any means, shape or form you are not recovered from this, but how did you get through that?
Well, I think some of it is because I was so active. This is what some doctors have told me, is because I was such an active person. I was running about 5 miles a day, 5 days a week, and I often did some free climbing on the weekends and such. I had very large veins, which meant I had a greater chance of surviving the pulmonary embolism than most people would of an embolism of that size, because my vascular system was extremely robust. And I think that has a lot to do with the initial survival. Afterwards, I think it comes to a lot of determination, especially getting through the strokes. And it's been incredibly hard. I've had to reteach myself to read. It's been devastation after devastation that I've had to tackle and overcome.
He's had a total of 4 strokes. He's had severe stenosis over many of the regions of his brain in the veins. So not just one region, but I think it's 3 or maybe. Yes. Go ahead.
Because of a stroke still, I struggle with words sometimes, so that's why I'm pausing a lot when I'm speaking. It's to this day, it's still very difficult for me to remember all the words that I need when I'm talking.
And to breathe too. And some days and some weeks are much better than others, and some he's really struggling, and it's scary. It's frightening. His condition is such that he is treatment resistant, meaning that he can have blood clotting even though he's fully anticoagulated. So we don't know what to expect from week to week, day to day, month to month. In Cody's case, it's one of the most severe cases of blood clotting disorder linked to COVID-19 vaccines. And so we just don't know what it's going to bring, but we're doing our best. And I'm doing my best as a mother to help Cody to get through each day. Some are very rough, like I said.
Cody and Heather, describe what this vaccine has done to your lives, what it has taken from you. Describe a day in your life so that people truly understand what you're going through.
Well, it's in many ways, I don't like to have a totally negative outlook, but it's ruined a lot of my capacity to do basic things. I struggle to cook if I can at all on some days, and I have to walk with a cane in order to be able to get around correctly, because I have a lot of right side weakness after my strokes.
And a wheelchair after about 50 steps. He's he can't walk more than maybe 50 steps, and then he's in a wheelchair.
And you're 25 years old now.
Yes, and I've lost every friend that I had before the pandemic, and a significant portion of my family over this, who just don't want to deal with it or don't want to believe it, and it's been very frustrating because all the people I used to know and all the people I used to work with, they won't talk to me anymore. They want nothing to do with me.
Well, and also, I mean, there's the entire emotional side that we're dealing with, but also the financial devastation, the worry, how we're going to get through. And then we know so many other people, countless others that are in our position in losing houses, losing jobs. And this is why we are championing and fighting. It's not just us. There's an army of moms, dads, advocates, doctors, groups, people from all over the world pushing for Cody's Law to go through, and they're all working to, if we can get it done in Florida, then we're going to try and get it in the other states. And we know it's not a complete answer, but people are dying and they're going without medical care and medical treatments because the quote unquote programs that are supposed to help, the compensation programs, as we know in Congress, and also the letter from the 14 AGs addresses that these programs are broken and essentially have abandoned the vaccine injured. So we're doing pretty well. We need a senator on board in Florida in order for Cody's Law to go on the legislative floor. So if I can, please, everybody, please, if you can write the senators in Florida, the Florida senators, to help get Cody's Law onto the floor so that it can be passed, it would be amazing. If you can urge Governor DeSantis to pass Cody's Law to help these people get medical care, because they've been abandoned, they get sick, and there's no care for them from the government whatsoever. I think most people think that they immediately get cared for like cancer patients, and they don't.
There's nothing. I've been struggling through this medically with no financial or government medical help in order to help make this happen, and it's I've had several close calls that have been very devastating, where I've come very close to dying in hospital a couple of times now.
So how can people find out more about Cody's Law? Do you have a place that people can go to?
Yes, they can go to codyslaw.org, or they can go to a Mother's Anthem Substack. I have the law actually published in the 3 pages on my Substack, and there's a link for it on codyslaw.org. We do have an updated law, the proposed bill, that includes both the Medicare and the Medicaid, because somewhere along the line a glitch happened. But so just to assure people that we're working on getting both of those programs passed. And so essentially it would be immediate medical care for those who are injured. And it's not just COVID-19 vaccine injured, it is all vaccine injured. And that is because one of your CHD representatives here in Florida pointed out that we've got to take care of everybody. That's Maya. So, we have a bunch of people here, Nick, Tom, Michelle, I could go on. Kim Woodsack has been a champion of this, Brianna Dressen, Paul Merrick, so many people, Joel Wascog, so many people have just come behind it. And I'm sorry, I could just go on and on.
As they should. Thank you, Heather, for doing that. And so to our viewers, they will go and investigate that. Cody, tell me more about being abandoned by family and friends. I mean, what do they think has happened to you if they don't believe you? What on earth? You were perfectly fit and healthy. You had 2 Pfizers, and now you're in this condition. What is their reasoning behind abandoning you?
I believe a lot of my family have decided that I faked it. The family member who's a doctor, he knows full well what happened. He's even acknowledged that he knows what happened, but despite that, he's abandoned me because I don't know why.
He works in the industry.
He works in the industry, and he doesn't want to associate with it or tolerate it.
Yeah, he thinks that he's actually said that that people will die for us standing up and speaking out about what happened to Cody. But on the other hand, people are dying because of the vaccine that wasn't tested, that isn't safe, and will likely be pulled off of the market. So we have to advocate for safety before profit, no matter what.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Cody, that you're going through that. And please know you're not on your own. And you have a new family now, and that's us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And as far as my friends go, they just wanted to pretend like it didn't happen at all.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Really don't know what exactly was through their minds entirely, but it was very difficult to deal with because I went into a hospital in 2021 and was hospitalized there. None of them showed up when my birthday passed while I was still hospitalized, and not a single one of them.
Yeah, he went into the hospital at age 21. He turned 22 in the hospital, and nobody showed up. Mom and Dad had to actually fight to get in the hospital because they tried to tell us he had COVID-19 infection, although he had never had a positive test, and he also had nucleocapsid tests that said he did not have COVID-19 infection, and he does have direct antibodies to phospholipids, and there were phospholipids in the shot that were coated in a known toxin. So Mom and Dad will stand up for him, and like you said, he has a new family and they love him. They check on him regularly, and we're not going to let him down. We're not going to let the others down. And I'm so glad to be here, and that CHD is helping us to promote and get the word out on Cody's loss, so we can help them so that they're not abandoned as far as getting medical care and having a way to pay for the gas and go to the doctor's office and pay their copays and such.
It's a wonderful thing that you're doing, and we thank you for that.
Lots of people are doing it with me. They're helping.
I know it takes a team effort. Cody, you mentioned that animals are something that have helped you heal. Tell us about that.
Yes, I have a couple of cats. We have 4 cats in the house right now, and they're very loving and sweet creatures, and they've helped me through this a lot. We have a little cat with dwarfism who actually he sleeps on my chest almost every single night. He's very sweet, and there's a science to the frequency at which cats purr being helpful towards healing and things like bone regeneration and such.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
They're
if you
comforting.
look into it. And it's just this little cat is just very sweet. But he sleeps on me almost every night, and he's incredibly kind and caring little creature. And had another cat that he's been with me since I was 14, 13. I can't remember, and he's always been around, and he's rather elderly now, and he's not always quite there in the head anymore, but he's very sweet and loving to me regardless.
That's wonderful to hear.
He's a quirky kitty, and he makes us laugh because he's getting old and doesn't remember things. And I think the kitties give Cody that comfort. You know, he was abandoned and marginalized by much of society when this happened, and it was so unfair because he was doing what he thought was right to do, you know, to protect others, he thought.
Cody and Heather, is there anything in this world, any pandemic, anything that would ever make you both take any kind of vaccine ever again?
No, especially not with the new technology and the research that I've done. I'm not sure if you're aware, but my research is used in litigation against the vaccines around the world, and we know the ingredients now, we know what's used, and we know that they're unsafe.
Certainly not with this mRNA-based technology, and I don't think I'm really healthy enough to be taking any, or at least most of the vaccines that are out these days, so I don't think I'll be taking them in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling your story, both of you. And Cody's law, we will look it up, we will follow it, we will write to our senators in Florida. And we thank you both for the amazing work you're doing and going forward in helping others as well. So thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It was such a pleasure. I was waiting to meet you, and now I have. So I feel so blessed, and we feel blessed.